All right, we're going to be making some changes around here, make this company a little bit more efficient. So first of all, Damien, skinny guy, whatever you want to be called. All right, we're going to have you start loading stuff on the truck.
Lifting boxes?
Yes, lifting boxes. You'll do fine. What school did you go to again?
I dropped out.
Oh, right, yeah. We're going to have you start doing the accounting, the bookkeeping stuff, and all of that. And you, Jack, did you draw this?
Yeah, that's mine.
Pretty good, right? Yeah, you're going to start making our flyers and our ads and all of that stuff. I want you to start getting on that. I'm a great manager. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So, 1-0 win. It gets the job done. But I can't sit here and act like there aren't problems. It's weird because almost collectively everybody agrees it doesn't matter how you get the results in the final sets of matches. It's just about getting the results. And yes, results are very important. But if there are issues in these matches, there are going to be issues for the final set of matches too against better teams. When we go in to play Liverpool, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, some of the mistakes that are being made by the coaching staff, the decisions being made, some of the players that are making mistakes and the way that they're playing, if that doesn't change, we're going to go into those matches against better teams and not pick up points. And then those results are going to be bad. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's almost like if you take a quiz right before a final exam and you barely pass the quiz. You're not going to go into the final exam thinking, oh, well, it's fine. I mean, it's just the results that matter. I passed, right? That's all that matters. No, you're going to need to study more because if you barely pass the quiz, you're probably going to fail the exam. So first of all, we'll talk about some of the coaching decisions because obviously Maresca is not in the dugout today, but I still feel like a lot of what happened as far as the lineup, as far as the subs, I feel like those were instructions from him. First of all, the lineup, I don't understand. I do not understand. Once again, Sancho left on the bench. He has been actually in a good run of form. He was in a terrible run of form, was never benched for some reason. Just could not get the job done. You had George on the bench who was coming off and looking pretty dangerous. For whatever reason, we just kept going to Sancho. Just said, hey, Sancho, you got it. You'll step it up eventually. And so he finally steps it up, gets 2 assists against Lavia in the first leg, and then he's benched. Don't understand. Comes off the bench, scores a goal to equalize against Ipswich, and then he's benched again after getting an assist against Lavia. I don't understand. He comes off the bench at halftime against Fulham, and he starts to create for us. Suddenly we look so much more dangerous, and he's benched again. I don't understand. And the other problem with it is that Madueke has not done anything to earn that spot. More often than not, his selfish play kind of hurts our attack. So that's already one that doesn't make sense. Another mistake that he made in the last match that he continues to make in this one is for some reason he continues to not invert Cucurella. I don't understand. The inverted fullback has not worked for us except for Cucurella. He's the only one that seems capable of doing it, and he does not want to invert him. Keeps inverting James. He keeps inverting Gusto. Now today he put Caicedo at right back and is inverting him inside. Cucurella has been our most dangerous player for the second half of the season. Why do you not want him to get forward? Why do you want to make him the third center back there? I don't understand. What does he see that nobody else is seeing? Because frankly, we look so much less dangerous without Cucurella making those bombing runs into the box. And I said it in the last match, but is it embarrassing that our left back is our most dangerous player right now? Yes, obviously. We spend a lot of money on attackers and they're just not getting the job done. But that doesn't mean that, oh, well, we don't want to be embarrassed, so Cucurella, you just stay back there. We don't want you getting forward. That doesn't make sense. Put James at right back. Let him be the third center back there that stays behind. You don't want him to run too much. You don't want him to use his legs too much. Let him be in the defense. Don't let him get forward that often. But looking at the subs, I mean, at halftime, it should have been James on for Lavia, because I'll talk about Lavia in a minute. But that should have been the sub at halftime. We wait until 60 to even think about making that sub. And even then, he stays on for an extra 5 minutes for some reason, even though he makes multiple mistakes in that time. We just are taking our time trying to get James on the field. I'm thinking, we're about to get scored on if we do not make that change right now and get Caicedo back into the midfield where he needs to be. Sancho coming on for Madueke took way too long. George coming on took way too long. Palmer coming off took way too long. I mean, there were several subs that we were waiting an extra 10, 15 minutes when it should have already happened. And I don't understand why. I don't know if, I think it's Caballero is the assistant. I went ahead and looked it up just to be sure it is Caballero. I don't know if he was getting these instructions from Maresca to wait until a certain time to make these subs, but I'm looking at the game going, you've got to make a change now. At 45, like I said, James should have come on for Lavia. And in my mind, he should have come on and pushed Cucurella into the inverted fullback role. But of course, they're not going to do that. But that should have happened. Sancho probably should have come on for Madueke at around 60, definitely by 65. And I thought George should have come on around the same time, preferably for Palmer. I know he's not really a 10, but he's also not a striker and played pretty well there last match. So I just think we needed more energy in there, and Palmer wasn't giving us that today. But getting into individuals, Sanchez, once again, was not forced to pass out of the back, and once again, looked fine. Maybe a little couple shaky moments with the coming out to collect in the first half. Both of those instances where he drops it, he was not under pressure when he was dropping the ball. You know, with Beto, yes, Beto's right there, but it's not like Beto caused him to drop it. His hands were not set up well. And the one with Malenko or something, I don't remember how to pronounce it now, but that one where they collided, he was already dropping it before they hit each other. So a couple of moments that were a little bit shaky, a few moments in the second half where he saved the game for us. Some really, really good saves. And again, that's what he can do. Doesn't do it all the time, which is why I still don't think he's a great keeper. But he's a good enough keeper where if we didn't force him to pass out of the back, Maresca didn't force him to pass out of the back, he would not be as maligned as he is. I feel like people would still want a better keeper, but people hate Sanchez because of his passing, because of how many times he's given the ball away. And like I've said many, many a time, it's Maresca. Maresca is forcing him to do this when he's not capable of doing it. Backline, Cucurella, just like the Fulham match, had to be forced to stay back, wasn't allowed to get up and down the pitch like he normally likes to, and he was not as effective as we've seen him before. So I don't understand why that's changed. I don't understand what about James Maresca's looking at and going, yes, this is what I want in my inverted fullback. I want them to play slow. I want them to not defend well. I want them to be lazy in there and get beat way too easily. That's what I want. Cucurella, you're doing your job too well. We need to drop it down a bit. That's the only thing I could see that James is bringing to the pitch that Cucurella was not in that role. So it makes no sense. Cucurella is definitely not being able to play to his levels that we've seen throughout most of the season and the end of last season. I don't get it. Chalobah and Colwill in the middle, both of them did okay. Colwill, though, had a couple of stinkers just out of nowhere. There was one ball gets played long and he and Beto are going for it. And for some reason, instead of trying to go play the ball, he goes leaning into Beto and just clearly trying to play him instead. And the ball falls behind him, Beto spins him, and he nearly gets him behind. If not for, I think Beto had a bad touch or something. I don't remember how that play ended up being stopped. But it was just pathetic. I don't know what he was trying to do there. And there were a couple moments where, like he's done in the past multiple times, you can see he's not aware of what's going on behind him. So for Colwill, I mean, it's just been a season to really showcase he is not this spectacular young defender that he has potential to grow into a great defender. Don't get me wrong, but he's not at the level that we need him to be at this point. I think a lot of people thought getting him back since he was out injured and he was playing left back last season with Pochettino, I think a lot of people thought moving him into the center was going to just absolutely solidify our defense. He's not solid. He has a lot of gaps in his game, and he's not learning from his mistakes either. Caicedo, right back, inverting into the middle, it's not his position. It's not what he's comfortable doing, and you can tell. Compare his performance after he gets moved into the middle in the second half to what he was doing for the previous 65 minutes. And it's like night and day. You know, he's doing okay. He's working hard because that's what he does. But positionally, passing, defensively, there's so many things in his game that get lessened when he's playing out of position. He gets moved into the middle literally within 3 minutes. He picks up the ball and he just runs past 3 people because he's so much more comfortable there. And he nearly creates a chance out of it. Has a shot, not a great shot because that's not his game. But he looks so much better when he's in the middle. Why on earth would you take him out of there just to play Lavia? That doesn't make sense. But on to Lavia. First of all, make it make sense to me that with James, we're still managing his minutes. Multiple games since he's returned from injury, we're still managing his minutes. Lavia, he's been back for 1 game. He's been out for how long? He's played how many games this season? Second game back. Oh, start him. Play him for 65 minutes. Go ahead. That'll work out well, right? How does that make sense? If James is really being managed, why are we not managing Lavia then? Why is he not coming off as a sub just to get a few minutes? Why is he not coming off at halftime to get just 1 half done? That's what we're doing with James. There were several games where James played 1 half and he was done. Why for Lavia is it, he can go actually 65 minutes. That doesn't make any sense. I feel like there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about with James, that he's not being allowed, first of all, to play where he should be playing, but also he's not playing as much as he should be at this point. With as long as he's been back from injury, he has been managed enough. His minutes have been managed enough. He should be able to start playing more normally now. And it feels like we're still not. It feels like we're still taking our time with him. And then Lavia, second game back, start him, play him 65 minutes. Why not? And I'll tell you why not, because today he was so far off of it. His passing was fine at times, but defensively, my God. And there are several moments where he is so far behind the play. He's not reading the game well. He loses track of his man. He gets beat. He gets turned. I mean, it felt like we had no midfield with him in there. And if not for Caicedo doing a little bit of good defensive work here and there, and Fernandez working back, I mean, hell, even Jackson did a bit better defensive work than Lavia did today. I mean, he was so far out of it, and it was just so obvious. There are a couple moments as well where it's a 50-50, and all he has to do is just take a touch, get on the ball, and he's done. And it feels like he's letting it bounce. He's waiting for that perfect, okay, well, hang on. Okay, now I'm ready, and somebody's there, and they're poking it off of him. There's one corner or free kick or something where ball gets headed out, and he's there. All he has to do is just win the ball. And all of a sudden, he lets it bounce, and now it turns into a 50-50, and then the player gets in front of him, and now all he has to do is just take him out. Foul him, take the ball off him, do something. And he lets the guy get in front of him, he lets him be stronger, and now all of a sudden they're breaking on us. And I think it was Jackson actually that worked back and made a good challenge to win the ball back. But all of that comes from Lavia just not doing what he needs to do. So I do not understand why that was the decision today. Don't go into this match making Lavia one of your focal points in the middle of the pitch, because he's not going to be ready for it. I don't have an issue with him getting to that point, but I mean, I don't trust him to stay fit long enough to get into a good run of form. But definitely from his first game back and his first start as well, this was too much of an ask for him. Fernandez, I thought, played okay. There were a couple moments where it felt like he was a little too slow to react to some moments or on the ball. But overall, his passing was fine. Defensively, he worked back pretty well, made some good challenges here and there. I would say he was probably the quietest good performer today. He just did what he was supposed to. Obviously, he gets himself an assist, but that was more on Chalobah and Jackson doing a good job. But overall, his play was just quietly, he did well. He stayed under the radar, did a good job. Front four, first of all, Neto, I thought was probably our most dangerous player today. A lot of it was down to, I thought up against, again, I can't remember his name. It's Mikolenko. It just came to me. I was like, Malenko, Michelenko, I couldn't remember. Up against Mikolenko, though, he looked unstoppable. I don't know much about what type of season Mikolenko's had, but he just looked like he couldn't handle him. I mean, there were so many times when he burned past him. It was way too easy for Neto today. But unfortunately, the final ball just wasn't quite there. It was a little bit overhit, or the final pass was a little bit off. There were several moments from everybody that kind of felt like that today. For Neto, because he had so many moments where he did get into good positions, it felt like he just needed that final pass, and it just wasn't happening for him today. Madueke, for some reason on the left side, I didn't really understand that change either today, because we know he likes to cut inside on his left and have a shot. And frankly, against a team like Everton, I would expect him to do that pretty well, because they are going to sit back a little bit, which means he's going to have a bit more space to run at the defender. So I did think that didn't help him today, but there were still several moments where it's down to him. It's down to his lack of effort. It's down to his kind of laziness at times. There were several moments where he's one of two Chelsea players that are near the ball. He's the closer one, and yet he's not going for it. And an Everton defender gets there before the other Chelsea player does. If it happens once, okay, don't let it happen again, but it happened multiple times today. But Palmer, like I said, he was not giving us much today, unfortunately. He had a couple of decent passes that felt like the old Palmer, but I just don't know what's going on. I still think it's probably a mental thing. He's probably low on confidence. It does still feel like the tactics are still possession-based. We're not looking to get the ball down the field quickly. We're not looking to break on teams. We're not looking to be creative. And so I do think that really keeps your creative players from being able to do what they do best. And I think that can kill confidence. As I've said before, I do think a lot of it stems from Maresca and what he's been trying to do for the second half of the season. But for Palmer, there are also moments, especially because we're starting to see the past couple of matches, we're starting to see players go against what the manager wants. We're starting to see players go, you know what? Maybe I'm going to do this because this is what's best in this moment, not this is what's best for the tactics. This is what's best if we want to get a win. we're starting to see that a little bit more. I'd like to see Palmer take that mentality as well. Because I'm at a point now where I think Maresca probably should go in the summer, which means let's just get wins. It doesn't matter what the manager says. It doesn't matter how he's trying to get us to play. We've seen that tactic style does not work with the players we have. So these players need to start just taking the reins and start doing it themselves. That's something that we saw from Jackson today, even. The past couple of matches, it kind of felt like he was told to sort of stay up high, wait for the ball to get him behind, try to make those runs. Today, he was just all over the pitch. He didn't start very well. There were a couple of moments where a little loose on the ball, maybe a little bit low on confidence, which makes sense considering the run of games he's had. But it just felt like he wasn't really in the match again, kind of how it has been for the past couple. But then all of a sudden, gets the ball, turns, decides I'm going to have a shot, great shot into the corner. And for the rest of the match, he is just all over the pitch. He is making challenges. He's getting on the ball. He's trying to make things happen. Doesn't always work out for him. But this is the Jackson that I enjoy seeing, and that a lot of people criticize, but I still think is very important to the team because of what he brings, because of how he drives the team forward. I felt like after that goal, that's when we started to really see the team getting down the pitch, getting at the Everton defense. It starts with his energy. And we've lacked that for the past couple of matches. So I really hope that goal gives him some confidence. So we'll start to see the Jackson that we saw the first half of the season. We'll see him return. And hopefully that also drives Palmer forward. Because I felt like the breakdown in those two, and especially after Jackson got injured, I felt like that's kind of where we saw the drop off for Palmer start. So maybe we just needed one of them to find their form again. Maybe that'll help the other one get back to form as well. So we'll see if that's what happens. But great goal from Jackson today. Great work. Again, several defensive challenges as well that were really necessary. And on that note, I will also say Neto did a lot of great defensive work for us today as well. As far as the subs, James comes on, and again, inverted right back is not his position, and it shows. He's also just still lazy. I don't understand it. There's one moment, it's late on in the match, and we're just trying to get it out. I think it's 92nd minute or something like that. All we got to do is just get it out. And I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was maybe Dewsbury-Hall or Caicedo. Somebody lays it back to him. And all he's got to do is just get it out quickly. There's a ton of pressure. Just get it out. And the swing, the wind up was so slow. It felt like his leg took 3 seconds just to go back, to swing forward. And in that time, Everton player nips in there, pokes it away, and now all of a sudden they have a chance to go at us. I just don't understand why he plays so slow. Like, if you're going to play that slow, you have to know what you're doing already. Most of the time it feels like he doesn't know what he's doing, then he makes his decision, and then he still plays slow, and at that point, you don't have time. The other team's going to be on you, especially in the Premier League. I actually had somebody, I can't remember what video, I feel like it was a comment I made on one of George Benson's videos. I talked about James being played as the inverted right back against Fulham and how I knew Cucurella was going to be a better option there. James was not going to be a good option, but I knew that's what Maresca was going to try to do. And somebody responded saying, well, if you don't want James to get injured, then he's got to play midfield because it's less physically demanding. Like, how is it less physically demanding? Do you not see Caicedo? How physical he has to be in there? Conte, how physical he had to be in there? Like, it's not less physically demanding. The league as a whole, it doesn't matter where you play, is very physically demanding. So if your argument is we need James to be in a position where it's not as physically demanding, he doesn't have to be running as much, you're not going to play in the Premier League then, because you have to be physically fit. So the best position for James is in another league. So I think just that argument to me doesn't make any sense based on the league we're playing in. So if he's not physically capable of doing it, whoa, maybe we should move him on. Kind of like what a lot of us were saying when he got hurt for the 5th time this season. I know a lot of people want to keep him because he's young from Cobham. When he's at his best, he is one of the best right backs in the world. But we haven't seen him at his best in at least 3 years. So I just feel like it's time. It's time to move him on. If this is what we're going to get from him, and if Maresca is going to continue to try to play him at midfield as well, then there's no point. Move him on to a league where he doesn't have to be at top shape. He can just play this casual way and look good. We have better options here. I think Achimpong at the moment looks a much better option. He looks much more physically capable of handling the challenge. Sancho came on, had a couple of decent moments, but he came on very late, so not a whole lot of time to get acquainted with the game. But still, I look at him, I look at what he was doing today, and I'm thinking, if we had that for more, we might have been able to put 2 or 3 in and maybe our goal difference would be able to keep up with what Newcastle's will probably be after they likely smash Ipswich today. And then the last two subs, George and Dewsbury-Hall, they came on, I think, in stoppage time, so no time for them really to get adjusted to the game. It just kind of felt like, oh, well, we need to make some subs because some of our legs are going, so these two, why not make a sub before that? That's not reactionary. Maybe make a more proactive sub. I don't know. It sounds ridiculous, right? Thinking of proactive subs, that just sounds weird. I don't understand why anybody would want to do that and positively affect the game before things get bad for us. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But like I said, I am of the mindset that the result is not the only thing that matters. If we are making the same mistakes every match, but we still manage to get some wins against teams that are maybe either on the beach or just aren't as good, we're going to struggle. We've got Newcastle, we've got Forest away. Those two matches we have to get something out of. And if we do some of the stuff we did today, we play like we did today, Newcastle's going to smash us. Forest, maybe not, because they're kind of in a bit of a drop-off. But, I mean, we also need to win against Liverpool and Man U at home. There's a chance we could lose those matches if we play like this. I'm just not convinced still that we're going to make Champions League even after these two wins. I feel like there's still so many flaws I'm seeing in how we're setting up, in some of our performances and our tactics, and how we're playing at the moment. There's just so many gaps that I think better teams are going to exploit. Teams with more desire as well. Teams that have something to play for. I just feel like we're going to see those flaws get exposed in those matches. I mean, if Newcastle beat us next weekend, in my mind, that's kind of it. Like, if we can't at least nick a draw there, I don't think we have any chance of making Champions League. But with all that being said, next up, I think we've got the Swedish team, Djurgården, or however you pronounce it. We've got them midweek, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, we just get the job done in the first leg so we don't even have to worry about the second one, kind of how Lavia went. But those are my thoughts on today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this match? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. Also, check out the channel. We have a lot of other reviews on here as well, some Let's Plays, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.